Hey, good Sunday afternoon to you. Thank you for joining me. We're back live at 5 at SFC Defined. Thank you so much for coming on, be with us today. Certainly do appreciate you. We missed last week. Hope everybody had a beautiful Easter weekend. A little chilly, but it was beautiful nonetheless. I think it could have been a whole lot worse than what it actually was. But, nonetheless, we're here. We made it through another week. Yay. And that's a beautiful thing. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. And we're certainly glad to be back with you with another episode of Live at 5 with SFC Defined. So listen, 2 weeks ago, we started getting spiritually connected. And we didn't get a chance to delve a bit of what my thoughts were along those lines, but we really didn't get a chance to get into it like I wanted to. So I hope you've had a chance to think about it. Human nature, the human side of us, we innately look for things or people to connect to, whether intentional or unintentional. There's always a desire, a longing for some type of connection. I think back as a child, you think about Peanuts and Charlie Brown and how Linus was connected to his blanket. And we connect to things and we connect other people. And 99.9% of the time, when we are looking for some type of connection from anything or anybody, we're in essence looking for a sense of security that person or thing can bring to us. For Linus, it was just the security of having that blanket. That was his security blanket, and it gives us some safety or some security. The thing about a whole lot of our connectedness is it's not done on a spiritual level for the most part. We connect to things and people with good intentions, but they don't always end up being good intentions. We can connect to the wrong person, and connecting to the wrong person, that could break your heart. It causes mental issues. It causes anxiety. It causes stress. It causes worry and frustration. So all of these to something wrong. Again, we're talking about a spiritual connection and what that actually looks like. What what does a spiritual connection looks like as opposed to, say, for example, like a physical connection? Because most of the time when we find ourselves attracted to people, and just talking particularly about people and not things right now, when we find ourselves attracted to people and trying to connect with people, most of us are looking from a surface level. There is a surface level. I like her eyes. I like her hair. I like her physique or her body. I like his physique. I like her shape. I like the way she talks. I like the way she moves or whatever. And we become connected mentally and emotionally to these people because it is with our physical attraction that we connect. Well, that I don't want to talk about because that happens to all of us for so many reasons, and hundreds of connections happen like that. But I want to spend time talking about the spiritual side of things, the spiritual connection. And if we can get a little deep today, especially for those of us who have grown up in church or religious organizations, we tend to connect through practices and religious aspects that we connect to. We connect to a church building, or we connect to a certain congregation in a building. We, hey, Catherine, thank you guys for me today. We have all kinds of connections. So, when you're looking at it from a religious standpoint, a lot of times when we are placed as a child into a church, we tend to grow up in that church and we are connected to that building or connected to that so-called ministry. We're connected to rituals and we're connected to religious practices and things like that. But we never really connect spiritually. Because when you have a higher or deeper level of connection and you're connected to source, then people don't look the same to you. And this is something that I found out, and this is something that I have had over the years to come to a realization of. Everybody that I found myself being attracted to for so many reasons, and not just a physical attraction, but I find myself being attracted to people because of their smarts or because of their drive or because of their ability to get things done or what have you. But I found out that that has absolutely nothing to do with a spiritual connection. Each one of us, it has been said that we are all connected. We all are cut from the same cloth. The only thing that separates us is our skin color. That is literally the only thing that separates who we are as human beings, is our skin tone or what have you. But we come from the same source, that we are all connected, and the same God runs through all of us, regardless of your skin color. And that is the connection that I think that we are all missing spiritually. I think that when we get to a place where we can look past religion and we can look past race and look past socioeconomic statuses and stuff like that, and realize that we are all looking for the same thing, and that is that sense of security, that being connected to somebody beings. I'm not saying that you're going to connect spiritually with everybody. It is a possibility. It is, when you look past all those things that we say separate us and really get to the heart of the matter, and that is the God that's in all of us, then yes, we are all connected on a spiritual level. Then yeah, we can connect to anybody, anywhere, at any given time. So if we can get to that point where we are looking for those spiritual connections to people, and even those spiritual connections to things, one of the things that I've been reading about is just like animals. Animals have this divine sense about them that human beings, there's an innocence and just a godly sense, a godly nature that most animals carry, that when we become attached to them, it could be your dog or your cat or your rabbit or whatever the case may be, there is a sense of a spiritual connection. They can't say anything to you. They can't do anything for you other than provide the very thing that we're all looking for, and that is that sensitive. So that's what I am talking about today, is getting that connection spiritually, where you look past any of your idiosyncrasies, their idiosyncrasies, when you look past their flaws, when you look past all of their isms and all of this stuff, and you know that there is a connection. So, what does it mean to be to somebody? Um, when you're spiritually connected to somebody, it literally connects you on a deeper level. It's not a surface thing. It's a thing where, people, they you can pick up on each other's energy. I think that's the best way that I can say it. I don't have to talk to you every day. I don't have to be in your face all the time. But there's such a spiritual connection. If there is an energy, there are several people that I know that I'm spiritually connected to, and it's crazy because I can literally, the thought of them will just go right through my head, and immediately my phone will buzz or ding or whatever, and it's a text from them or it's a phone call from them. That's the type of spiritual connection that I'm talking about, and that is available for all of us. That is so available for all of us. We all have that same energy that we emit and that we take back in from people that we are spiritually connected to. I think the problem with the world today is we don't take the time to ever allow ourselves to be open enough to connect with anybody on a spiritual level. It's all surface. It's all, it's just superficial. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's all superficial, and we don't take the time to connect with people on a spiritual level. It's about, what kind of car you drive, or what kind of house you live in, or what's your job, what's your income, what can you do for me? It ain't even about that. It's literally about having such a connection that if you need your space, you don't have to tell me that you need space. I pick up on that. If you need a hug, I pick up on that, and that is that above the surface kind of connection that we're speaking of this month. So listen, I want you to tell me, give me your thoughts about this. What a spiritual connection looks like to you. And I think let's start off by me asking you, do you think that you've ever spiritually connected to anything or anybody? And if so, was it anything other than you finding that sense of security that that person or thing provided for you? So, let's just do one question at a time. Have you ever felt that you have been spiritually connected? Just type it in and just let me know. So yes, I have. Many people I've become spiritually connected to. I can't say that. I think just in the last few years, I have found myself really coming to be able to identify the difference between just a physical attraction and a spiritual connection. It may start off as a physical attraction, but that spiritual connection is what has allowed the relationship or the friendship to last the test of time. So if good, thanks, Edward. I appreciate you. Yeah, he says, I know what it's like to have a spiritual connection. And a lot of us don't even realize it. We have them and we don't. Because sometimes those spiritual connections can create some problems for us too, because then we become very dependent on certain people. And I don't want that. We'll save that for another week. Maybe next week we'll talk about uh, just some of the hidden challenges of being spiritually connected, because then we can become very dependent on the people that we've felt spiritually connected to. But can you talk about some of the experiences that you have had on a spiritual connection? Those of you, Benny, you said yes. You said yes, and Edward, you said yes. But help me. What? How did you know it was a? How did you know it was a spiritual connection and not just a an attraction or just an associate or something? How did you know or identify it as a spiritual connection? I shared with you how I could be thinking of that person, and that person will all of a sudden just call, or, I could be thinking of something and all of a sudden it appears, and it'll be so. Help me understand, and others, if those that are watching, how were you able to identify it as a spiritual connection? Let me give you a couple of seconds. I know you typing. So think about that for a minute. How are you able to identify what a spiritual connection looks like? And did that spiritual connection do what it does for 99% of the people and provide that sense of security? Okay? Let me hear your thoughts on that. How did you know it was a spiritual connection? How did you know? And do you still have it? Because spiritual connection doesn't mean that I have to be with you for the rest of my life. The spiritual connection doesn't mean that, that it just simply means that we have allowed our spirits to identify with each other as somebody that have connected on a deeper level. And people come in seasons. I feel like that you can have spiritual connections for certain seasons in your life. They're not here always have to be lifetime spiritual connections. I've had people in and out of my life that I know that they were just there for a season. But when we were together, when we were friends, we were literally we were spiritually connected. We were inseparable, and we almost could pick up on each other's energy, pick up on each other's thoughts, and all of that stuff. So I think we have them. Everybody has had them at some point, and everybody will have more of them. I think it's so important to identify what those spiritual connections are. There's a sense of security in that spiritual connection. There's a sense of freedom in that spiritual connection. There's a sense of being able to be yourself. They help you pull and extract your authenticity out. So I really believe that we all have had spiritual connections. I don't think we knew what to call them. We call them relationships. We call them my bestie. We call them my BFF. But I think that when you really truly are interacting with somebody that you know on a spiritual level, it takes being in a relationship. And I'm not talking about anything, like an intimate relationship. I'm talking about just relationship from person to person. It takes it to a whole nother level. Then he says, it has only been the past few years as I've been on the journey of being in touch with my inner being that I recognize it as a spiritual connection. The fruit of it is having the connection of speaking into each other's lives, those things that were needed without even being asked. And that is it. You have that freedom to be who you are. You have that freedom to be able to be unapologetically you. And I realized after delving into what it looks like to be spiritually connected, I realized that probably about 98% of the people that I have interacted with, I wasn't able to be who I was unapologetically, or who I am unapologetically. I wasn't able to be truly authentic. And I think that when you are able to be truly authentic to who you are, then that is what opens yourself up to a spiritual connection. Benny says, and yes, that feeling of security was there because a need was met and satisfied. Absolutely. Edward says, for me, I always pray and allow God to use me in a sense where I'm able to pick up on people's spirit, or I pray and ask God to connect me with people He wants me to connect with by pushing or empowering those to connect with me on a faith level. Absolutely. And that's what it is. For you Bible readers, I think the Bible says that you should you try the Spirit by the Spirit. And when you are a very spiritually minded person, it's that spirit that's in you that identifies the spirit that's in somebody else. And that's when that spiritual connection forms. In the Indian culture from India, Hinduism is what I'm looking for. In Hinduism, they always use the word namaste. And namaste simply means I recognize the divine in you. And so when they do this and whatever, they're recognizing that there's the Spirit of God living in you. And I think that when we all can get to a place where we say namaste to everybody, it says, I recognize the divine in you. And then that's when spirituality supersedes any physical or emotional attraction. It really supersedes that. I would rather have one spiritually connected friend with me than to have 10 folk who are just showing up in my life. You know, in my opinion, spiritually connected people, it's a give and take. It's not just a give, 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 and somebody else take, take, take. It's an exchange. It's an energy exchange. It's a love exchange. It's a power exchange. You know, you can be the alpha in one scenario and and then be the submissive one in the next, because there is no struggle for power. In a spiritually connected relationship or friendship, there's an even exchange. And that's the beauty of being spiritually connected, because I recognize that you are that person that I know is going to shoot it to me straight. You are that person that I find that sense of security with. You are that person that I am able to open up and be unapologetically me. So there isn't a struggle of who's the alpha and who's not, or who's in charge and who's not. We bounce off of each other's energy. We know how to take the roles, whichever role, and make it work. So I really encourage you, look into this, think about it, and start looking and identifying the people that are in your life. And think about those that you are forming a spiritual connection with versus those that you are just their physical attraction, or they just happen to be a coworker, or they just happen to be a neighbor. You know, you can speak to them. I tell people all the time, kindness is free. You can be kind to anybody. You can be cordial to anybody, but you don't connect with everybody. And those people that you connect to, I think it's time for us as a society to start looking for reasons why people are in our lives. You know, I think that we should just look for, like, I can't let you in unless there is a spiritual connection. I can treat you kindly, I can be nice to you, we can talk, but to really be able to open up myself to you, and so you can get to know me and I can get to know you, there has to be a spiritual connection, a connection that's above the physical. It needs to be on a deeper level and on a spiritual level, because if it connects, if you connect with whomever on a spiritual level, then there is an exchange. There is an exchange. They don't drain you. They don't use you. They don't try to manipulate you. They don't take advantage of you. There is literally an exchange. You know, Benny says the beauty of true spiritual connections is that there is a feed into each other's moments and visions at just the right time. The timing seems to always be right in time. Absolutely. And that is that exchange. That's that give and take, where you are able to just be you. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's a beautiful thing when you spiritually connect to somebody and you're able to be who you are authentically. No makeup, hair ain't done, teeth ain't in. I don't care. You can be looking your absolute worst and they love you just the same. They love you when you're being successful, and they love you when you're failing. They love you at your best time, and they love you at your worst time. That is a spiritual connection, and there aren't enough of those, in my opinion, floating around. Okay, I think we have become too superficial with our connections with people. I really do. I think we have become too superficial. If you got it, I want to hang on to you. If I think you're going somewhere, I want to grab your coattail. If I think you're going to be somebody, then I want to be around you. But if you're not doing any of those things, I don't have time for you. Those are not the types of relationships or connections that you want to have. Trust me, you do not want to have those types of connections. Denise says, hi, the spiritual connection with someone is a bond that can never be broken. Absolutely, because it happens on a greater level, on a different plane, in a different way. Spiritual connections are life changing. Spiritual connections are priceless. And I encourage you, start connecting with some people on a spiritual level and see how much they can add to your life. Have conversations with them. Find out their why. Find out what motivates them and what moves them. And, most of the time when there is a strong spiritual connection, you ain't got to say a whole lot. It's like you've been friends all of your life. It's like you've been friends like from day one. It's like y'all have known each other forever. Okay? If you are so quickly ready to let go of some people just because of a mistake that's been made or something that's been said, trust me when I tell you that was not a spiritual connection. If you're ready to dismiss somebody because they stepped on your little feelings or whatever, trust me, that wasn't a spiritual connection. A spiritual connection, like Denise said, can never be broken. Again, y'all can be on opposite sides of the world, and there's still that connection that remains. Okay, so that's it for today. Appreciate you guys for joining me today. Let's get together next Sunday at 5 o'clock. Again, let me remind you, we a couple of weeks ago, we threw something out there about a time change, and we are looking live at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoons as opposed to 5 o'clock. Okay, I think it'll make it easier for our team. Hopefully, it'll make it easier for you. So, if you have any real major problems with that, shoot me a DM and let me know. Let me know. We'll see what we can do. But right now, we are planning to start the first Sunday in May at 2 o'clock with our live. We'll start sending out information to make sure that you're in the loop so you won't forget. Okay, as always, thank you for your support. Don't forget to like and share, because if this conversation blessed you, I can promise you it'll bless somebody that you know. Okay, so like and share, and we'll talk to you guys again next Sunday.